All right, guys. So welcome back to the Complete Personal Trainer podcast. So it's been a while since I've done one of these. So the podcast is coming back. A lot of things have been happening in the last, couple of months, actually. Well, it's been more than a couple of months. So really excited to be back and to be back communicating, sharing a little bit more, offering a bit more value. Last couple of months, I've been doing a ton of teaching in a ton of different groups and stuff like that, and that's all started to wind down now. So it's time to get back and focus on MPC. So I wanted to talk about today what my mentoring involves, what my coaching involves, and how it can help you achieve the particular outcomes that you're looking to achieve, either for your own business or for your own personal training outcomes. Now, I really, really strongly believe that personal trainers have some duty to be fit. It doesn't mean you have to be in shape. You don't have to be fitness model type physique, but you should be fairly mobile, be able to do the things that you want your clients to do. And you should have some experience in getting in shape, some experience in building muscle, some experience in getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So in my mentoring programs, my ideal mentoring program that I have, which is the Ultimate Personal Trainer Package, basically does that for you. So I'm going to go through a little bit about that, and this will give you an understanding of my philosophy, both as a trainer and then also as a business coach and business mentor. So this is not meant to be salesy by any stretch of the imagination. There's no buy my program here, even though I say that a lot of people. There's no real pressure to buy anything from me. I want to be able to share this thing because then all the future lessons that will have come from this, they'll all make sense when we actually start going through stuff, because you'll understand the context in which I'm kind of talking about things. So with how I run my personal trainer business and how I run all my programs in general, is I want to provide a very comprehensive view and a very comprehensive service for my clients in all different realms. So if I'm working with a personal training client, I start off first by breaking my clients down into a client level system. Now, this idea was originally proposed by Precision Nutrition. I've spent a lot of time refining this, and every single student I've worked with has found it to be a very effective way to categorize their clients into different levels, to be able to decide what programming they need, what nutrition they need, what mindset coaching they need, and what accountability they need. And this is one of the big problems with online coaching and also in-person coaching, any kind of training at the moment, is that people are just giving the same old stuff to everyone. That's my podcast, so I can fucking swear about one. They're giving the same shit to every single client. So every client gets a training program, one weekly check-in done by a Loom video, and they get a customized macro program. And it's bullshit. It's not really what people want, and it's certainly not what people need. So first thing that I want to do with my program and with my clients, is I want to identify what level they are. So to give a quick rundown, I've done tons of material about this. It's in other people's courses as well. Level 1 client is a nutritional newbie and a training newbie. They got no idea yet, and that's totally okay. A lot of trainers talk down to them because they don't have that knowledge and experience. Well, how could they? They're new to it. Level 2 client is someone who has some experience, and also it's a habit for them. Basically, they know a little bit about how to diet and how to eat. They're pretty good with accountability mindset, and they can train pretty hard. They're not like the most important trainers in the world. Now, from then, what we can also look at is a level 3 client whose training is like the most important thing in the world for them. But there's two types of level 3. There's one whose training is the most important thing in the world for them, and they'll do everything that we tell them to do. Or the ones who think that training is the most important thing in the world to them and have the technical knowledge, I guess, the book knowledge, but don't actually have the execution down point. So they need to be treated as a level 1 client. So anyway, when a client comes to me, if I've spoken to them on the phone or text them or done whatever sell it is, or I've been told, I will send them an intake form relative to their level. That's because I need the information that's relative to what they want to do. So a level 1 client is very emotionally based. A level 2 client is kind of like accountability based, and a level 3 client should do whatever the fuck you want when you want them to do it. Okay. A level 3 client is there to get like a pretty serious result. So they got to do some pretty solid work there. If I don't know, I send them a discovery intake form. So the intake form is incredibly important to me because it allows me to identify what accountability they get, what mindset coaching they get, what type of training program they're going to get besides injuries and all that other kind of stuff. And then also what type of nutrition coaching approach is more than likely going to work best for them. The vast majority of trainers, both in the hybrid in-person and online model will always give their clients, a macro plan every single time, or expect the clients to adhere to tempo when they don't know what it is, or throw a barbell on their back because you can eventually learn it. None of these things are the most efficient way to do any of this. So my big thing is I need to be efficient, and I need to see people actually gain the results in the time that they come for. And that's something I'm very, very good at doing. I've got a lot of clients right now who've come see me from other really highly respected coaches. I've increased their calories because their plans have been substandard for what they need to have in terms of fuel availability. I've changed their training programs to make it more meet the actual needs of the activity they're doing, and they're getting really awesome results. So the first thing is identifying the client levels and then programming my nutrition, my training, my accountability, and my mindset around that. And that is something that I teach all my students. So the first part of the mentoring program is, because we're going to go back and forth between these two things here, because this gives a really good insight in how to run, a multiple six-figure online business with quite small time investment in the weeds doing stuff, and having more time availability to do stuff outside of that and work on the business and further improve your services and do more sales and create more business opportunities. Because once you get to a certain point, more coaching just basically taps you out in terms of your window, your ceiling that you can reach, not your window. So with my students, the main thing I want to do is identify their avatar, identify who they want to work with. I don't do that for marketing, though. Marketing, we're going to talk about my approach a little bit later. I don't do that for marketing. Just for that reason. I do it because I want to make my intake forms, my accountability, my training programs, everything suit the actual avatar. So a lot of people are missing the point. They're finding out, who they want to work with, and they market, and then they give the same shit, the same macros, the same training program, the same mindset, the same accountability stuff, when it's in reality, totally different scenario that you're working with. So one student I'm working with who's got absolutely amazing results in her business, and also her personal fitness goals, because we do that as well, because you need to become the expert in your field, is she works with girls who want to get in bikini shape and want to be able to go out and eat and stuff like that. We've targeted that, different goals at level 1 of that thing will actually need macro plans, because you know what? They already know how to do that. They're not going to come in as absolute rank beginners. So her level 1 is actually macro plans. And some of the problems that she has to teach them in level 1 is how to calorie bank for the weekend, for example. That's a very valid tool for that particular audience. Another student who's done really, really well, she works with female health concerns. Her level 1 clients are going to be habit-based. So in her intake form and her daily accountability and her weekly check-ins are all going to be based about, have they hit those habits that they need to get to? Their level 2 stuff is starting to look at particular supplementation and physiological modification strategies to actually solve their problems, rather than, just put a Band-Aid on it. We actually want to change the physiology of what's going on. So my clients, back to that one, once I've figured out where they are, what their levels are, and we've kind of created a program around that for the particular niche or avatar that we're working with, the next thing that I'm really big on is having a high level of client-centered communication. So what I mean by client-centered communication is I want the client to be in charge of a lot of their decisions in the training process, particularly if they're a level 1 or a level 2. If they're a level 3 client and with my niche say they want to get really photo shoot lean type thing, then I want them to do whatever the hell I say, because they're paying me for that particular service. If they're a level 1 client and they're starting to move towards that process, I don't want to have to tell them. I don't think it's fair that I tell them you have to eat exactly this, do exactly that, do all these things to get the result, because they're not ready to do that yet, and they need more time to build muscle, get in the habits, get the mindset right to do something that is inherently incredibly challenging. So a client-centered approach is my next thing that I want to work with. So having the client some input into that. This solves the long-term problem of motivation. Okay, so motivation is something that we need to deal with personal trainers. A lot of trainers will go on and on about how motivation doesn't exist. Well, no, it's not the tooth fairy. It actually does exist. It's a very real concept. It's not something we can rely on. Long-term is a better approach. Not saying it doesn't exist, but motivation is something that we need to be aware of. So by getting the clients to make decisions and seeing the results and the impact of those decisions, and when they succeed, it actually starts to build up some sense of accomplishment, some intrinsic motivation, some drive, and feeling proud of themselves. And that starts building up long-term adherence to the program, because they've actually got some wins. If you get some runs on the board, you're much more likely to keep going forward. So that communication strategy is something that I teach to my students, because if they can do that, it allows them to get better client retention outcomes. So still haven't talked about marketing. This client-centered coaching based around the avatar, based around servicing the client on the needs that they have, it basically allows you to have far better retention. And I don't want to boast about it because, you know what, it's not really the most cool thing in the world, but I've had a client for over 18 years. Now, that's an exceptionally long time in the fitness industry. It's an exceptionally long time in most industries. Only people that have their clients for 18 years are doctors and dentists, right? So we need to make sure the longer we have our clients, the better our business long-term cash flow is, the easier it is to get good results, good testimonials, and good transformations. And the easier it is to get referrals from that and generate a high degree of social proof. So retention is driven by client-centered training approaches. And as someone gets more and more advanced, then guess what? They need less and less coaching from you to get the results that they have, because they've already ingrained these habits into their nervous system. It's stuff they do each and every day. They feel really good about it. They feel confident, and it becomes part of their life. If all these habits and behaviors and things like that become part of their life, it's highly likely that paying you is going to become a totally normal thing as well. That doing their check-in is a normal thing. That showing up for their training session is going to be a normal thing. Now, with my clients, the next thing that I really like to do is actually offer a hybrid-based training model to people. And this is something that, you know, obviously has some constraints to it. If I got a client in, say, Hong Kong, can't really train him too much. I got a bunch of clients in different states in Australia, can't really train them. If I go to that state, I may endeavor to try and meet them, or they come here, they're more than welcome to. But if clients are local, and most of your online clients will actually be fairly local to you initially, because it's easier to reach and where you may have a reputation, hybrid model is ideal. In fact, I think every single trainer should have some in-person training clients, at least for the first five years of their career, simply to start developing the skills that you cannot develop online. Now, online training has tons of different benefits, meaning you can be more valuable for clients in a number of different ways, but what you can't do is kick someone's ass. What you can't do is solve someone's movement issue on the fly if they're there. What you can't do is put someone into the proper position for the exercise to get the most out of it. What you can't do is share a high five or a fist bump after a really cool set and share the excitement when the client hits a PB or exceeds, you know, their personal limits. So there's pros and cons to both, because, you know, all those things are really powerful experiences for clients, for retention, for results, but they're also not scalable in terms of building your business into a multi-six-figure business. You can get six-figure business doing on in-person training, but multiple six figures is going to be very, very hard due to the amount of time that it takes to do it in terms of training clients and all that other kind of stuff. So my course and my mentoring program, one of the things I really want to do is make trainers really goddamn good at what they do. So besides identifying the systems that they need to have, identifying the accountability tools that they need to develop, identifying the delivery and making sure that clients get it in a prompt time and that it's automated so things don't get missed, we want to become really damn fucking good at what we do, okay? A good trainer will always get referrals. A good trainer will always get results. You may not be the most business savvy person in the world, but if you're goddamn good at what you do, people will find you out. I always use the analogy of surgeons. So if someone's going to needs a surgery, right? They need knee surgery. They don't just go to the cheapest knee surgeon. They don't. They go to the best. They try and find out from other people who's had knee surgery, how'd you go? And if someone's had a good surgeon and a good outcome, they generally tell every single person about it. If someone's got a really good accountant, a really good chiropractor, a really good, any kind of practitioner really, in any field, who's exceptional at what they do, they will do the selling for that particular person, okay? So we need to make sure that for our avatar, we actually know what the hell we're doing. So we need to know what are the ideal training strategies for them, what are the ideal nutrition strategies, what are the physiological issues that they're going to need to overcome, what are the possible constraints that they may have that hold them back. So with the client before who works with women's health, our weekly mentoring sessions are all about having a deep dive into the actual physiology underlining certain female health concerns evidence-based approaches to actually deal with these problems and to relieve the pain that they're working with and provide solutions for these ladies. And then also hypothetical, theoretical constraints on some of the mechanisms that may happen and some of the solutions that may have that we've learned through experience. And then also some of the psychological and more mental ramifications of these particular conditions. Because a lot of the time, and this is something that I don't talk about a ton, but I'm going to now because I have no answer to now. What we can do here, right, is we can identify certain psychological relationships and behaviors and traits that people who have these different conditions fall on top of. So a lot of the time, one example I was talking about yesterday with a coach was clients who always have a bad week unless, everything is on point. So these are the clients who come in, they feel really great on a Monday, and as soon as one meeting goes to shit, or their food, they don't feel on their morning pages, or they don't hit their 10 minutes of meditation in the morning, the whole week goes to hell, right? These are the kind of clients that will have very particular behavioral ramifications, and will also have very particular stress ramifications and very specific physiological ramifications as well. Now, these things aren't evidence-based because they simply can't be. No one's going to do a 20-year cohort study on people who lose their shit when they don't do their morning journal, right? But as a good coach, what you can do is you can observe these things over the years. And because I've been lucky enough over 20 years to coach, and no joke, well over 10,000 clients, it's been well over that from running a gym with 400 PT sessions a week. It's been a ton of different people. Start to actually see these trends come on board and start to recognize behavioral patterns are the same, physiological patterns are the same, dietary patterns are the same, all these things kind of come out there. So my goal with my coaches is to help them actually recognize these things, particularly for their target market, and to get really goddamn good at solving those problems. Now, when we move that back into our personal training business, we want to provide these solutions for our clients in a timely and effective manner that is repeatable, solvable, and can also be used as marketing collateral. So with our clients, what I like to do is have everything documented that a client could possibly ask to be able to give it to them in a timely manner when they have that problem. So I've got a whole membership site. It's currently got 80 something videos now. I estimate it to have around 400 something by the time I'm done with it, based on the niches I have, and then a couple of hundred each for some of the particular groups that I work with. For example, I work with Photoshop prep and enhanced athletes. So they have a very specific set of needs that need to be met. I work with cognitive health and brain enhancement practices. So there's a bunch of different demands that need to be met there. And then I work with movement impairment syndromes and people who are in chronic musculoskeletal pain. There's a particular set of problems there that need to be solved. So that's a lot of intellectual property and solutions that need to be made. Now, with that, having that sorted out and in an easy to access and distribute system saves you a ton of time as a coach. And it does one other thing too. It helps identify you as the expert. So with my clients, I want to be identified as the expert because then it's easy to deal with sales and all that kind of stuff. And it's easy to get clients and get referrals because you get good results. With my students and my approach to marketing is not to inundate people with messages. It's not to be constantly posting on social media at all times. It's not to be asking clients for referrals all the time. It's none of that kind of stuff. My approach to marketing is a little bit different. My approach to marketing is to simply be viewed as an expert by the audience that I need to see me. Okay, so back to that specialist strategy where we're talking about surgeons. I want people who I talk to see me as an expert, and I want them to see me as someone who's relatable as well. And there's a reason for those two particular things. People want results first and foremost. Like no one's gone to a gym and said, you know what, I really am looking for a community to be part of. No one's gone to an online coach and said, I really want to rent a friend. No one's ever done that. People initially will look for something because they're looking to make a change. And in my coaching, I talk about how to facilitate change talk in all different areas, blah, blah, blah. We won't worry about that now. Let's stick to the nuts and bolts. That's a reminder to myself more than anyone else. With that, they're looking for a result first, but they don't want to work with you if you're an asshole. That's the second thing. So no one wants to hang out with assholes. Realistically, no one's ever gone, you know what, I want to be bossed around by a prick that I hate. No one's ever said that. If they do, they got different issues. That's a different niche. So with the majority of the posting that I recommend my students do, it's all around the target audience's goals, needs, wants, pain points, and how we can solve that. And what I really encourage students to do, and that student of mine, Leah, who does an amazing job with female health concerns, she addresses it all from multiple pathways. So a real good way to establish yourself as an expert is to have a certain problem here. Like, let's just say it's polycystic ovarian syndrome, and to be able to address the training of it, the nutrition of it, the supplementation of it, some of the psychological constraints that it causes, some of the mindset issues, certain little tips and tricks that can help people deal with the pain that it may cause during a menstrual cycle. So all those different ways to become the expert relating to one kind of hub, one central topic, really starts to cement you as an expert in that field for people. So what happens after that point is, guess what? People then start reaching out to you rather than you having to slide into their DMs and reach out to them. Is it the fastest way to get clients? No. The other way is much faster. So it's a very valuable skill set to learn. It's really good to be able to get out there and do that kind of stuff. But in terms of long-term sustainability, do I think it's the best way possible? No, I don't. I don't think anyone's ever argued with me that sending 500 messages a week is more sustainable than having people come to you. They're both going to take the same amount of time in 5 years' time. You're both going to be working for the same amount of time. It's just how's your volume of work going to change? It's going to gradually decrease over time if you identify as an expert earlier on and actually learn the stuff, versus it's just going to get longer and longer as you keep on DMing and DMing and DMing people and trying to get client outsource. If your personal training business can bring in 2 to 3 clients a week as an expert with a very high degree of retention, you have a guaranteed 6-figure business in 6 to 12 months. There's no way around it. Unless you're charging a really atrocious rate, you will have a 6-figure business very, very effectively and quickly, based around a group of clients that you are qualified to train, that you're good at training, and that you're interested in learning more about. In my opinion, that seems like a far more sustainable approach than reaching out to everyone and then trying to solve all their problems and doing a half-assed job of it and actually hating what you do for a period of time and burning out and getting resentment. I want my clients to actually love, my students, to actually love what they do and be really proud of the results that they're getting. And then the final thing of how you do that is, because you become an expert in the area, because you know what the hell's going on, because you've seen these problems before, you've got familiarity with them, you can start to identify the common traits, the common solutions to it, and things that will work quite quickly. Guess what you start to develop really, really quickly? A shit ton of social proof. What does that social proof do for your marketing? It becomes your marketing collateral. So not only are you building the solutions and repurposing them into marketing material for the stuff that you need to do for your actual clients, but those solutions start to generate those solutions start to generate the testimonials that you need to further promote your business and get more and more clients. And I can guarantee you, I can absolutely guarantee this. Transformations will always be the most engaged with and liked post on social media. Transformations and results will always be there, particularly if they're focusing on real people. People like fancy carousels and fancy reels and addressing people's problems are more background type posts. So they're things that are establishing yourself in the eyes of your audience as an expert. So that stuff needs to be there. The transformations and the results for the clients are where the sales come in. Okay, because what will happen is client will post something saying, "Oh, Paul, you know what? I got one today. Since he started using the new app that we've developed, and he's been just doing some of the basic habits. I think he's lost something like 8 kilos. He hasn't tracked a single calorie. He's worked out 3 times a week. He's done that from like end of January to now. 8 kilos is pretty decent, right?" I can then screenshot his chart, post that on an Instagram story or Facebook post. "Hey, meet David," even though it's not David. I found a name to not use that person's name. "Meet David. He lost this weight. He did this. How cool." I'm not even going to put a call to action in that, because someone who identifies as that, so someone who has the same job, same background, all that kind of stuff, can only afford to train 3 times a week in terms of time, they're going to see that and go, "Oh shit, this can actually help me out. There's some actual social proof here for that." The best thing I did for my business, and this is the last thing that I'll go into, and then how I would like to work with clients too, is I did a pretty good body transformation. I'll give myself some credit there. I did okay. All right. It took about a year. And it was a very solid transformation. So I'd done a photo shoot once before, but I'd never gotten a real photo shoot shape. That was diluted photo shoot shape. And I screwed up the peak royally. So I decided I would get in really, really freaking awesome shape. Okay. And a lot of people will always say, oh, it doesn't matter when you're a personal trainer. If you know all the stuff and you're really good at what you do, you will have a good business. And yes, that's true, but you won't have it's going to be a lot harder to have an amazing business. Okay. And this is an unfortunate reality of it. If you've done an awesome transformation for yourself, or gotten an awesome shape, or whatever it is, or power lifted at a high level, or competed at a high level in sports, it gives you a degree of authenticity and authority that is really, really hard to match. No one else can really match that, because you've done something that is real, that is true, and that a lot of coaches haven't done. Doesn't mean that you have to stay in that shape for the rest of your life. It sucks. Trust me, I prefer donuts. But it's doing it periodically and showing that you can compete at a high level in physique, in sport, or whatever it is that you do. It shows that you actually walk your talk, and it gives a high degree of authenticity. I would say that getting in really good shape added 6 figures to my business, and that's certainly not the actual numbers reflect that from when I actually posted the first photo shoot photo that I did. From when I got that, the business number, I can actually track that and work out exactly how much that's increased my business year to year. Now, it's not the only factor, but it certainly made doing sales a whole lot easier. When people, they'll go through your social media profile, just like anyone does, and then they see that, oh shit, you've been in really amazing shape, or you're in amazing shape. It gives a degree of authenticity, and clients will actually talk to their friends about it. I've had so many people come up to me and say, hey, are you Paul? I've seen your photo on Instagram. I'm like, what? Who? No, it's not me. It's happened in gyms all around the place. So really, really cool, because it becomes very easy to transition into a conversation about how you can help that person. And then finally, back into the mentoring thing. So everything I do is very, very connected. I connect training, nutrition, business, mindset, accountability, coaching practices, all this stuff into all my different approaches, because I want my package of training and coaching education to be very similar to the MCU, the Marvel Universe. Everything's interconnected, and there's an end game to it all. So with my clients, my PT clients, my students, sorry, I want to get them in freaking amazing shape. That's it. I want them to get really strong. One of them just did really well in their first amateur powerlifting competition on the weekend, won best lifter. So that was really, really cool. I've got others doing photo shoots. I've got others who are gaining muscle more so than they've ever had in their life, getting out of pain, getting stronger. I want my coaches to be able to experience that, not only for their own personal benefit and getting the best shape of their lives, or the fittest or strongest, because that definitely has some huge benefits. But I want them to experience it from the client point of view. I want them to actually know the struggle, to know the pain, to know the hunger, to put it lightly, the hunger is horrendous, but to know what it takes to get to these particular really, really high levels, because you don't know it until you know it. It's one of these things that you have to experience. I don't want to use childbirth as an analogy, but like childbirth's like, you don't know it until you know it. Nothing can prepare you for it. And that's a much harder experience, but this is also something that nothing can really prepare you for unless you actually go through it. Like you think you get it until you do it. And then you're like, oh my God, that's actually what you have to go through. And it builds a whole new level of respect for the people who do that at a very, very high level. So in 1 year, I managed to not only do the photo shoot and get super lean, which was incredibly hard considering I had a pregnant wife, had a baby, lots of ice cream in the house, etc. Very, very challenging in a number of different ways, but I also made it to a semi-professional level in basketball. So I did it all in 1 year. And it gives you a whole new approach and whole new appreciation for how hard both professional athletes work and how physique athletes work. And it redefines your perceptions of what you're capable of, but also what other people are capable of. And then also how to deliver that and how to help people get through that, which is a really, really powerful thing, because getting through all this stuff is challenging. Training yourself to be a high level and transforming your body, your strength, whatever, is a very worthwhile and challenging task. So it gives you multiple gifts back, as well as the actual challenge of doing it itself. So guys, that is basically a summary of where we've been, what we're trying to do going forward. and really looking forward to sharing more with you. We're going to have these podcasts going on and these live streams at least twice a week. I think we've got them booked in for 99% sure. I got them booked in for Tuesdays and Fridays for the podcast. Now, we're also going to have multiple mini podcasts coming up as well. We're going to have, these are really popular, 5 to 10 minutes long, answering certain questions that you have. And these will be part of the MPC coaches community, which is launched. We've got 180 members already, which I think might be more than that now, it might be 280, but that's going to be where a lot of this stuff is going to be held. So I want to help you guys get to a high level. If you want to work with me, absolutely happy to work with you. I always make room for students and new clients as well. We've got 3 people working in MPC full time now. So we've definitely got some room to take more people on and help more people. But really excited to be back doing all this again and going to make some huge differences in the personal training industry in the next 6 to 12 months. I'm really looking forward to shaking it all up.